This session is Who's Who in the Zoo with Paul Pascoe. This was recorded at the Sale Melbourne 2023 Race Official Seminar.
Tough act to follow. Okay, so the correct title is actually Regatta Governance, but in my speak it's Who's Who in the Zoo, same sort of thing. So I used to hear the word governance and think, what does that mean? You hear it a lot in corporate things, and it really used to confuse me. But it's really just about if you ask to be a PRO at an event, so being able to turn up to an event and you're saying you're going to be the PRO, you know exactly what that job entails. You know who you report to and who reports to you. So it's really just structures and procedures to run a good event, or who reports to who and who does what, or in my speak, who's who in the zoo. So why is this important? It's really just you really want to know every event you attend. You want to know who is responsible for it, and there's clear lines of authority. So who makes what decisions and whether to cancel racing or not? Whose decision is it to cancel racing? Anybody? PRO. Okay, but actually the race committee runs races at the direction of the organising authority. So if Steve sort of says, yeah, we're going out, the club as the organising authority can say, no, I don't think so. So and if it all goes wrong, where you're going to end up? Who appears in the coroner's court and who picks up the extra costs? So where is the event governance document? It's not just events; it's for club racing, but it's most prevalent. You mostly notice it in. It's most common to have issues and things in regattas. So where is the event governance documented? It's actually in the rule book. So as soon as you say, I'm going to use the racing rules of sailing, you're actually governed. You're bound by the governance structure that's in the rule book. So the rule book's got multiple parts. The one that we deal with mostly is part 2, when boats meet, port starboards, this, that, and the other. But there's actually another bit that says entry and qualifications and race organisation. So part 7 tells you the structure of how things work. So this one down here is the one you want to have a read of if you've been asked to be the PRO or the course race officer, etc. And it tells you, what racing rules you can change, what class rules you can change, what national prescriptions are involved, and what do each of the groups do. So the organising authority, the race committee, protest committee, and the technical committee. And it basically looks like this. Here is the structure that says at the top, there's the organising authority. And at the start of the notice of race, it says the organising authority is, for this event, Royal Brighton Yacht Club. So Royal Brighton Yacht Club is carrying the can for this event. And then you might have a class association, a national authority, World Sailing for major events, and a technical delegate. Then underneath that, the organising authority appoints the race committee, the jury, technical committee, and invites competitors. So underneath the race committee is the scorer. The jury might have a jury secretary. And under the competitors, so we talked before about support personnel. So you have coaches, team managers, parents and stuff. So they are now physically attached to the competitor. So the class association, this gets where it gets a bit muddy. So when a class association, Laser Class wants to run national championship here at Royal Brighton Yacht Club, they'll give us a memorandum of understanding or a document to say, this is the sort of event we want. It's this shape, this colour, this size, this many races, this is what we want. And then they award the event to the club. After that, it's the club's responsibility to organising it. And from that point on, as the organising authority, they are in charge of the event. And to the class association, we'll say, we'll call you if we need some help. And I've had sitting in this room next door, we had a large junior class recently said, well, the sailing instructions, yeah, we'll just send them around to our committee for approval. I went, sorry, no, that's not going to happen. So you might be invited to review the notice of race and the sailing instructions, but at the end of the day, it's a courtesy, and the organising authority has the ultimate responsibility to run the event. So what does the organising authority have to do? Create the notice of race, safety documents, carries the risk, accept or deny entry. So Etchells Nationals just been run in South Australia. They refused the entry for a competitor for a boat that maybe did or didn't comply. The organising authority appoints the race committee, jury, all those sort of bits and pieces. Recruit volunteers, all that sort of stuff. So we're pretty familiar with this sort of thing. The race committee, fantastic race committee boat. So they're responsible for writing the SIs based on direction from the OA and safety plans to run the races. But I say as directed by the organising authority. And organising authority, I have once actually pulled rank on the race committee saying, no, we're not going to run a third race today. Advise the jury, manage sign-on, sign-off sheets, all that sort of stuff that we're pretty familiar with. Sometimes you're interested in party and request for redress and approve of changes to the crew. We have a scorer, accepts entries from the OA, generates entry lists, accept mark roundings. They provide the primary level of investigation for requests for scoring. And this is important. They accept change of scores. So the race committee can only do OCSs, DNCs, DNSs, what have you. They cannot do DSQs. The jury can do DSQs, redress, scoring penalties. The jury can't do an OCS. They can't award a BFG, just the same as the race committee can't organise. They can't usually DSQ somebody. And jury secretary probably retired after finishing. And it all sounds pretty simple, but so here's a scoring room for the London Olympics. So sometimes gets to be bigger than Ben-Hur. The jury, they're on the water here. So Philippe, you just woke up, fantastic. So record on water rule 42, umpiring decisions, any change to score it. So rule 42, somebody doesn't do the penalty correctly, they can be DSQ'd, DNE, and look after onshore protests tonight. And sometimes they approve changes of crew, etc. And their job is then to review the results and make sure they all are correct. Jury secretary accepts protests. They don't make any comments. They don't say, no, you're not going to get away with it. No use protesting that. Their job is just to accept protests, although some jury secretaries sort of go a little bit overboard. And accept and manage requests for scoring reviews, requests for prep and change, all of these things. Technical committee is a new name for basically for the measurer. So this is generally the measurer, and they can. Hang on, something's going on here. Anyway, so other bodies are the class association, world sailing technical delegate, but you're only going to come across those at major events. And coaches, team managers and parents. So we talked about that before, that you can, coaches can be great to supplement the rescue boat fleet, and team managers are great for disseminating information. Parents, again, supplementing the most expensive boat to buy is an Optimus, because then you got a 50 grand for the rib and then 100 grand for the boat to tow it, then the travel to Europe, travel to wherever. But they, Oppie mum and dads can be useful out on the course. And each of these, as we said, can be protested. And we've even got lots of documents. So this is it's paper war. So these are lots and lots of documents that we may or may not have. And these all used to be pieces of paper. And hopefully now we've changed that so most of them are online. And this is a document matrix that's saying, here are all of the documents. Here's who creates them. Here's who can update them. Here's who can use them. And you sort of need to understand all of those documents as to where they come into play and who's allowed to use them. Where can I get some help? Biggest thing is Australian Sailing website's got a really good resources page. And the other place is the Race Officials Committee. Okay, so they've got senior race officials can help you sort out things and do stuff. And then knowing all of that, now we can manage that. So just manage that. And with 41 seconds to go, I've got questions from the floor. I didn't even get the hurry up from the side. Question from the floor.
The club, not the. So it's issued by the club, not the class association.
It is issued by the organising authority. And the very first line of the notice of race says the organising authority is Royal Brighton Yacht Club. Or what club are you from?
Geelong.
Royal Geelong Yacht Club. And the class association having awarded an event to Royal Geelong Yacht Club, then it's up to you to run it. And the organising authority is Royal Geelong Yacht Club.
Not the class association.
Correct, absolutely not.
Thank you.
Just what's that thing of sense? Where's the club
And
the class association.
Yeah. So the notice of race could have more than one organisation. It should be the club and the class. I would suggest you don't do that. You can come to a financial agreement with the class to split the dollars and cents, but the class association, then when it hits the fan, it's going to be a lot of finger pointing. So, another question from Peter Merritt here.
Yeah, we've got an association regatta manager hat on. I'd argue that good practice would be the organising authority should be a committee comprising the club and the class.
Okay, we have a different point of view from a class association person who says that it should be a joint body, but I disagree. But anyway, and having been international president of a Hobie class, fairly big class, I would still say it is, if it's running at the club, it's a class. I'm over time. David Staley, question.
Certainly my experience across both have been an official of a club and of a class association and as a larger sanctioning body that the club runs racing. It's what it does pretty well. Most clubs run racing 5 days a week, and so therefore they should be the organising authority. The organising committee, which actually then advises the organising authority about the event, should contain representatives of sanctioning, which is normally the class, plus the club with expertise in the areas then to deliver the
So when the race officer says, I'm going to run another race, and the class goes, hell no, that's too risky. It is the club that's the organising authority says, thank you very much, we're staying ashore. Good.
By a technical delegate who advises the race committee.
Yes, absolutely. So, and you would, Peter Merritt, how many times did I call you in the last week asking advice for the laser course? Multiple times this week. Advisory, no questions at all, no problems at all. Phone a friend. That's it. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a question from the chairman of the jury. Yeah. So the question is, if a class has race management guidelines, then when you'll first come into agreement with the club, I said the class association says we want an event that looks like this many races, this big, and fits in with our class regatta management. And you run, you say, and the club has to say, yes, I agree to run it under the guidelines of your regatta management. Absolutely. But that has to be agreed up front. Yes, why not? Usually class regatta management documents are published. And in the notice of race, you might say that this race will be run under guidelines as published by the ILCA Class Association. Yes? Question from the jury at the back?
I was going to say, some of the classes build into their class.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does look like it.
Yes. Yeah.
It does look like it.
So the comment, sorry, and just for people who aren't here, so the comment is that often classes will put it in the regatta management policy is in their class rules. So, but that's the club in agreeing to run the race is saying, I am agreeing to run the race under your guidelines. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching this recording. We look forward to seeing you at Sale Melbourne 2020.